Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour, the first for this week. We this evening are going to be looking at the effective takeoff of the African Nations Cup that was in Yaoundé in a ceremony that saw the presence of the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul, who actually declared open the competition that is supposed to run in Cameroon, also in the presence of FIFA's president as well as CAF's president. We saw an opener that saw the victory of the Lions over Burkina Faso. We're going to be looking at this takeoff. We had matches yesterday and today, and we're going to be evaluating the official kickoff ceremony. Also looking at the implication of these games in Cameroon, what worked so well and what was lacking and what has to be done so that we have a very, very great tournament hosted by Cameroon. We also are going to be looking at those factors that are killing patriotism in some Cameroonians. We understand that the nation is host to Africa and the world, yet we have some persons that are seemingly still not happy with what Cameroon is doing. What could be responsible for such attitude at a time that we need everybody to celebrate the nation? We are going to be discussing this with our panelists who are in the house. Two of them already, others are still on the way. Robert Malangfe Kedia is in the house with us. He's representing the CPDM party. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Greetings to my co-panelists. I would like to take this opportunity to greet the head of state, President Paul Biya, and thank him for the fact that we had the AFCON that have kicked off in Cameroon, and the fact that he was present there with his wife. All those that were saying that he's not weak, he's this or that, at least they saw him held and strong. He came out, you know, he's the #1 sportsman of Cameroon, so he was there with the wife, and it was a beautiful celebration. And I also want to greet our philanthropist, Honorable Ngala Gerard.
We also are in the company of Mai Travis. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Leo. Good evening to the President of the Republic. Good evening to Professor Maurice Kamto. Good evening to President, Chairman John Frundi, and of course all political parties, key stakeholders in Cameroon. Good evening to Gianni Infantino, especially those from the UEFA and FIFA. I want to say that it is a very important competition being hosted here in Cameroon. 50 years after the last one was hosted in Cameroon, and we are experiencing a fanfare tournament like never before in the entire continent of Africa. Mr. Liu, it is football, and it is in football we must keep aside our political affiliations. Football is apolitical and non-partisan, and that is why when you see football is being organized in a country or taking place in any area, people come together to celebrate the victory and to celebrate the coming together, and after that politics take its center stage. So this is the moment where us Cameroonians of different walks of life, regardless of our different ideologies and political agenda or different social groupings, should come together and look at the tournament and give it a booster, and after that we can now move over and start exhibiting our different ideologies. But for now, I think that we must come together as a people to promote the sports.
Okay, we are expecting the National President of the Reform Party, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, to be joining us in the course of the program, as well as the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, Fabrice Lena. We have been trying unsuccessfully to get through to him in Yaoundé. We hope that he joins us and also participates in this edition of the program. Your first take, Robert Malangfe, after the official opening Yaoundé yesterday.
Yeah, the official opening was a great one. We saw the population that came out. The main reason why the stadium was not full 100%, we all know the instruction of CAF on the number of people that are supposed to be there just because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which we are all suffering in the world today. So the population came out. The head of state, the President of the Republic, was there with his beautiful wife, and everything went on well. One thing I admire and enjoy a lot was when the AFCON, the match got finished, and the beautiful show of the light and that was being done. Some people thought that maybe it's electricity failure, but that was where we saw the good planning of our nation with the good beautiful light that pop up, and everything was great. And even at the level of the Indomitable Lions in the field, they did their best. They wet their JC so that they could make the president proud of them, and they came out with a 2-1 win, which we believe that is a good start, because when you look at the start of Cameroon, you look at the performance of Senegal, you look at the performance of Ghana and Morocco today, then you say the Indomitable Lion, actually they are doing a great job. And the coach took this opportunity, even in this first match, was not only about to win the match, but it was an opportunity for him to test all his attackers, to know those that are in form. And we saw all the attackers coming in. Choupo-Moting, Jay Clinton, we saw him coming in, Bazagok, all of them, all the attackers came into the field. So I think there was an opportunity that the coach used to test the players so that they will know how the next matches will be. So it was a great start at the level of the players, at the level of the organizers, and at the level of the Cameroonians all over the national territory that were very, very happy to welcome visitors out of the country.
Tamai Jarvis, you were satisfied with what you watched from Yaoundé yesterday?
Yeah, I was quite satisfied, especially with the display, the cultural display, and also the animation that was done. I must say that when it's good, we should appreciate. And the animation that was done at the beginning of the match, it was quite very exciting, and it displayed the culture of not just Cameroon, Africa. Remember, people who are watching us should understand that this is not a Cameroon tournament. This is a tournament being organized by CAF, and it's organized. Cameroon is just a host of the tournament. And so in terms of the choreography and in terms of the culture that was displayed, it was done in conformity with CAF standard and principle. And also to add, in terms of the post-match animation, it was also very exciting, and also at the end of the match animation, it was quite exciting. The only problem we had at the point in time that we had was the issue about the animation, the 3D animation, that the lion that came, and people were confused and asking themselves that how is that possible? Is it a lion that is live on the field or not? So from the technical aspect of it, it was good, but however, it needed to have a bit improved. It was more of it looked more of a kind of artificial from a technical point of view, but it was a very good idea. It brought the idea of the lions. And another issue that we had was the fact that people were confused that why is it that we had Fale Pupa that performed, and we Stanley Eno was there, he did not perform. But I asked the question, the person who sang the anthem, the CAF football anthem, is a Cameroonian, so therefore Cameroonians started the animation. And secondly, the reason why Stanley Eno did not perform, as we were told, is because of time constraint. Remember that enough time was consumed at the moment of other administrative activities that was ongoing in the field in terms of reviewing of troops and the rest arrival. So time went on. That's why even when Dr. Musepa was making his speech, he said we are behind time. We are behind time. That's why you see some of the artists, Cameroon artists, could not actually perform just because of time constraint. And you come to the level of the stadium arrangement. The stadium arrangement was done well, but I still had a bit of problem with the aspect of COVID-19 measures, barrier measures, if it was really, really respected. Because if you look at the cluster of where people were seated, there was that cluster, and a lot of people did not come with their face masks in the field. So that was my only worry, that people did not come with their face masks in the field. And so, which, if we are going by the premise where Robert is talking about COVID-19, I think that we still need to do better, and we need to improve on the fact that when people are coming to the field, they should come with their face masks, and vaccination. I don't know whether the vaccination principle was respected to the entirety, because we see have some people who, however, make their way into the field.
Okay. Senior Barrister, you watched the match, the opening match yesterday. I'm sure you saw almost everything. were you satisfied from the perspective of your party? Were you watching it with party militants, and what were your first impressions?
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Mr. Kedia. Happy New Year. Mr. Tamai Jarvis, Happy New Year to you televiewers. Well, I watched the opening ceremony and the match from my bedroom. So I didn't go out. I didn't take the risk of going out because it's very risky on a day like that. You can have some people, excited people who will behave in an uncontrollable manner. So, well, coming back to your question, I was really, I was taken aback by the celebrations at the end of the match.
Okay.
Because I've never seen that in any stadium anywhere. After the match, all that, the fireworks, no, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I think some other people have to learn from us because that was a masterpiece. Then you come now to the opening ceremony itself. That was another masterpiece because no, it was so you could see that this was something that was carefully prepared and planned, and it was well executed. I don't think there is anything to say about that opening ceremony. It was just fantastic.
You were proud of what you
Of
saw.
course, I had, I think in some other occasion, congratulated the head of state for the effectiveness of this Nations Cup. Because many people were very skeptical, were calling him names because he said, we shall be ready. But I think after all what we have seen, he needs to be congratulated. Okay,
the President of the Republic should be a happy person today. Huh?
Oh, well, he should be a happy person since yesterday. Since yesterday. Because, well, you saw him, he was in the field. Although I could not see excitement on his face, but his wife was very, very excited. And, well, women always show excitement, but as an elderly person, I'm sure the excitement was in his heart.
Okay, can we get some excerpts of how things turned out in Yaoundé, especially the ambience after the match? Thank you very much, Rosine. Very exciting. There, the ambience was heavy, very heavy. To say that Cameroonians were waiting for this for yesterday.
Yes, Mr. Leo. You see, I think the event lived up to expectations. And I was really proud. I was proud of what I saw, and I think the finals, I'm waiting to see what they're going to present for the finals, the final ceremony, because this opening ceremony, anyway, Mr. Mosipe said it, we are heading for the best African Nations Cup ever.
What you're talking about has to do with the organization. But what would you say of the crowd that came out? Because we all saw the crowd that was out of the stadium was even more than those who were inside.
Yes.
Well, that simply shows that the capacity of the stadium is not big enough to contain everybody.
The stadium cannot contain the entire city. Almost everybody wanted to have a feeling of just...
Well, you know, Cameroon is a footballing nation. You see, football runs in the veins of even the elderly people. So it's very normal that on a day like... That's why I told you I stayed inside my room like a wise man, because to go out is risky. Because football runs inside the veins of Cameroonians, and on a day like that, everybody will want to show that there is part of him that loves football.
Okay, let us move over to Boya to get the first reaction of Tiku Felix with respect to what happened out there in Yaoundé, the nation's capital, yesterday. Okay, the Tiku Felix element is not yet ready, but we're going to continue with you. Let's look at the infrastructure. We are talking about the AFCON that effectively took off yesterday. We've seen matches played today at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium, Morocco, Ghana, and we've seen Senegal that played with Zimbabwe in Bafoussam. Yes, your take on the infrastructure that Cameroon is presenting to Africa and the world?
You see, it's good we say the truth anytime we have the opportunity to. We know that during the construction, a lot happened. And some people still believe that our coins were missing. But at the end, what we have is the best. I know maybe when I say this, some viewers will say, what do you expect from the CPDM man? But it's clear. The president of CAF was here, he said it's the best. Former African footballers were here, Juvett and the rest, they were here, they said it's the best, that they felt as if they were in Europe. So we do have the infrastructure. It's not something we are talking about, it is there. We have them all over. That's it in Yaoundé. The one of Douala is there. So the infrastructure, actually, they are there. And we are so happy about it, because we know with this infrastructure, it will help to produce more Samuel Etofis, more Roger Miller, because most people that look at this infrastructure, this stadium, at the level of short-term investment, whereas I look at it at the level of the short-term and the long-term, because I know that many footballers, young Cameroonians, will use this stadium. When you look at the stadium of Yaoundé, which I would like us to call it the Paul Biya, the President Paul Biya Stadium, which is there, and the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium that have been readjusted. So at least the President of the Republic now has a stadium with his name on it.
Okay, so we have state-of-the-art stadium in Cameroon.
But
state-of-the-art, yes.
Yeah,
your take on our infrastructure.
We have great infrastructures, but it's just that we must be clear with some aspect, like calling the stadium has not been officially named. Let's be clear. It has not been officially named as Amadou Ahidjo Stadium. As of now, it is the Olimbe Stadium, as Olimbe Omnisport Stadium. So let's not get opinion twisted. Now, coming to the state of the art itself. First, let's start with Olimbe. To be very honest with you, nations are proud that Cameroon has what it takes to represent Camp Nou and other stadia in Europe. Because if you look at not just the infrastructure in itself, you look at the green turf in itself, is smooth and straightforward. And you come now to the two training pitches, though it's not yet completed, the two training pitches that we have beside the field. If you look at the shot that went up, and you saw how we had the main stadium and we had two other training pitches. It is top class, because you train from this side, the other team is training from this side, you come to the field, and the field is left only for the action in itself. So at the end of the day, the field is not overworked as other pitches are overworked, where they don't have training pitches, where you come and train there, then after a while you still play there. But with Olembe Stadium, we had the opportunity where you can have a team is training here, another team is training here.
Limbe has two besides.
Yes, Limbe has two. So besides you, a team is training, another team is training. Then at the moment of the match, you just move straight to the field and you play, and they clean the environment. So I think that idea that they implemented is good, because it's for sustainability. How do you sustain a stadium? It's not just to construct it. How do you sustain it for posterity so that it can stay longer? And bringing up that idea is good. Now come to the same like Bafusam. Not only the level of the stadium, I think if you look at also the airports that we had at Bafusam and the Garoua, they were updated. And you look at that of Garoua, you could not believe that this is Garoua airport. You could not believe that this is Bafusam. So the structures that we have, it is going to create a positive impact, not just in the sporting domain, but in the economic domain and social domain. Remember, people go to, a lot of people went to Olembe. They did not just go to support the match. They went to take pictures. In one way or another, to discover the stadium. So many people who went to, even when Japoma was open, they did not go to support football. Because I remember there was a match that Cameroon was not playing, but people went there just to get pictures because it's state of the art. So it helps to build the mindset of Cameroonians who goes there to get leisure and get a bit of distraction from the kind of hate that we have. My only challenge that we have is that immediately after AFCON, there should be a strong committee that is there for sustainability and maintenance, because it is not just good to have them now. The long term, what is the long term of this complex? Is it that we are going to use for early 1 matches or early 2 matches? If we are going to use it, how are we going to ensure that it's well taken care of? Because we are used to in Cameroon to just create nice things and we don't follow maintenance effectively. And so we understand that it's difficult to maintain some of these stadia. And also, before God and man, there is no complex that is always completed before a major event. Even in South Africa, before the World Cup, construction work was still going on. Even in Brazil, construction work was still going on. So it's not news that the other structures is not 100% completed.
Okay. Senior Barrister, can we also say it's a victory for Cameroon for understanding the difficulties that came with the organization of this tournament? There were some tussles in very high quarters that gave the impression that some persons wanted this tournament to be moved from being hosted this January, but finally Cameroon is hosting, and then to tell those who were itchy to take this away that no, they were wrong.
Well, Mr. Leo, what other victory do you want to read when you see the president of FIFA right there, president of CAF right there, and many people? When you look at the other teams, the teams coming in, the crowd, the population that has come to support them. You understand that this is, I mean, like Mr. Tai was saying, they are not coming just for football. They want to come and see this wonderland. It's real wonderland. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the CAF officials once said they can count on Cameroon to place to stand as a candidate for the World Cup, because with what we have, you cannot find 2 or 3 African countries with this type of infrastructure in football. The country has put in money, and I think it is a very nice thing. I'm very, very proud of what we have. If we talk about the maintenance, where to alleviate the fears of my friend Mr. Taima Javis, we have the practice in Cameroon of having stadium directors, who are in charge of the maintenance. So I don't have any fear. None of our fields has ever fallen into oblivion like what we saw in Bata.
In Gabon.
Is it Gabon?
We have the CAF Excellence Center.
No, that's not our center. It's CAF Excellence. Look, that's CAF. It's not Cameroon. CAF may fail to maintain their center. Cameroon has never abandoned any pitch, any football pitch. If there's one, just give me. Because we always have a stadium administration that is headed by a director. And the director is in charge of maintaining the turf and the stadium equipment. for that one, I don't have any fears. Just, well, look at Limbe. Look at Limbe. Look at Bafusam. I think, look at Douala Unification Stadium. That's one of the oldest, and even Amadou Ahijo. So I don't fear when it comes to the maintenance of these playgrounds. I just hope that
the Garwa Stadium has been there for long.
Yes, well, it was not very well. That was the first synthetic pitch we had, and for a very long time, until the renovation, there was no problem with that pitch. So I think we don't have a problem of maintenance. I just hope that they are going to construct more stadia in the other regions that don't have. Let Bamenda also have, let the East also have, and I think that would be something nice. Ngaoundé does not have one. Let them also have a nice stadium so that the people from those areas will also benefit.
The South region.
Well, okay, the South too. You know, they always say Center South, so when they're on the house.
Okay.
Since they're on the house too, maybe one is standing for the South.
They'll share. Okay, let us now move over to Boya, Southwest Regional Capital, to get the first intervention of Tiku Felix.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to the entire panel. Mr. Liu, I want to say the opening ceremony of the AFCON 2021 that is being held in Cameroon, it was far above my expectation. Yes, there was really an upgrade with regards to the way Cameroonians usually do their things. I was so satisfied, and the rumor that the social media has been giving us with respect to the Olympic Stadium, the nature on completion and whatever, I didn't see a trace of that. It means they actually did their work. Another thing that actually attracted me was the lion, the graphic image of the lion. You see, the lion was there to kind of watch over what was happening from a distance, and at a certain point, the lion had to come and depart closer to the scene. It was so wonderful. The choreography was good. Everything, Mr. Liu. I really want to say kudos to the organizers. But another thing to that also attracted me was the attention that was being given to the head of state, Mr. Liu. You see, when you give, they gave him so much attention that it kind of distracted people from the actual AFCON. It was like the president himself was the AFCON. It was the reason why people were there. And I was kind of not so much comfortable with it, because it gives an impression, and which is a bitter reality, that there is an issue. You understand? That is why you heard people who took images from a certain angle will want to tell you that this and this happened and all whatnot. But Mr. Leo, to say the truth, rumors at times destroys progress. The Olympic State.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, that is also very, very key in our life today. We need to be very careful with the information that we circulate or that we receive from our different social media handles.
Yes, and that's what I always cry and always come out to decry. You see, when you go to America, America will make you believe that if one American fall out of their country, it's total war. Whereas in their country, they do have problems that blacks are falling. That is the problem in Cameroon. Before we saw CAF coming up to talk, maybe teams, in footballers in Europe coming out to talk, it started in Cameroon. Our own opposition were the first people that started saying Cameroon cannot. There is nothing in Cameroon. All the fees are bad. The criticism started from within. Even at the eve of the AFCON, we saw a parliamentarian that came out to say people should go to the street on the eve of the AFCON. Most of these things happen, but at home. The critics started at home. But what is sure is that there is this saying about Cameroonians that they always say, impossible n'est pas Camerounais. And That is what we've seen. The politicians that came out to do their own, those in the diaspora, those in Europe, that think that the time of AFCON should be shifted from January maybe to December to suit their own leagues and the rest. What is clear is that what happened has finally happened. The date is there. Everything is going on well. I appreciate also some opposition that have decided to pick up the right track so that they support the nation as we continue with AFCON. Because I saw a politician coming up to say that if his followers have nothing to say, let them shut up their mouth. And I can see that at the end, they have finally shut up their mouth, and we are embracing and welcoming our visitors, and everything is going on well. Everybody is appreciating what is going on. It's a collective effort of all Cameroonians, from the top to the least, taxpayers' money that has been used for everything. So I will say it's a great win for the Cameroonian people. It's a great win for the nation, and most especially the head of state, President Paul Biya, that said the AFCON will be the best in the continent, and actually that is what we are actually seeing. I would like to go back to what one of my co-panelists was struggling to explain to viewers about the fact that Fally Ipupa sang and no, Cameroonians should understand that when we went to the AFCON in Gabon, no musician from Gabon sang. They should know that. And it was even a Cameroonian musician that was there, Franco. I think they
and Mani Bila.
And Mani Bila.
But
they were the one.
He said. You are rather corroborating what he said.
You're corroborating. And what I said
was, he was struggling to explain to our viewers that that it was because of time.
No, Stanley Eno was because of time.
Oh, but for me,
I said the opener whoever sang the anthem, the football anthem, was a Cameroonian. So people should not say that Cameroonians were not given the opportunity.
Anyway, I understand. You know our Cameroonian.
I know you see them. People are always looking for.
No, not that way, not that way. But what is good is that we always have critics. You know, at the end of the year, when the president of the republic comes to speak, you will see our artists. They will draw all types of arrow beside his picture to put. That's what is happening. They will always be there to criticize, but I was happy to see a president that was very energetic, very strong, and very, very powerful, that was there to open the AFCON. And I now believe with what I saw that President Paul Biya is the #1 footballer, the #1 sporter in Cameroon, as we all speak. You saw the love with him. We also saw the excitement of Madame Chantabia. She could not resist her emotion. We saw her popping up from the car with her hand, very excited. The smile, even make her face mark to fall off. You see the joy and the happiness. That's patriotism, That's what we like, and that's all what us Cameroonians we should be doing. We should love our nation. We should love everything we do. To move ahead.
Tamai Jarvis, I'll get to you. I don't know, Eli, just see if you can get through to Fabrice Lena. Just do one last try. Now, was this also an opportunity where we saw politicians trying to steal the show, making politics out of football?
It was a litmus test for most politicians who, even as of Saturday evening, still thought they would postpone the CAN. Even as of Saturday evening. But the shocking thing is when they saw the president himself in the field, and then they noticed that it was okay. And believe me, when they started seeing the reality, the handwriting on the walls that yes, CAN is going to be possible in Cameroon, they shifted their stance. And you see some of them started putting on political messages encouraging their militant whom they had asked to go on plateau and not support CAN, to say please, no militant of us should say something negative about CAN, let us support CAN. And they want to use CAN now as a public relation tool to regarnish their image and to appear better in front of Cameroon after looking at the spectacular performance that Cameroon put up in the opening ceremony. Mr. Kum, nobody could resist to say that that opening was not 200% good. So everybody now want to identify themselves as it is because of us that it went like this. It is because of us. So it was a litmus test And if you listen to what Tiku Felix said from Buya, that it was more than his expectation. Everybody here, let's be honest, it was more than our expectation, especially what we were expecting. And to say that politicians used it for their personal gain is an understatement, because if you look at some of them were already in the field. And they went there in the field either for two motives. Let's go and see what they will do. They had their two cards. Card one, did we not tell you people that these people will fail? So card two was well, Alele Young. Card two was Alele Young. Now after the spectacular show, the performance, they kept that there. Did we not tell you that these people will fail? Mr. Aleo, if that performance was 60%, believe me, you would have seen live videos or a kind of political speeches today that on we said it. Look at what is happening. But however, I want to say Tiku said the focus was more on President Paul Biya than Khan. Yes, somehow, and no somehow. Yes, somehow, because that was the only opportunity. You remember that since COVID-19 came, President Paul Biya has not actually presided over major event that people seem like the 20th of May that he always come to present. And looking at the suspicious rumors that people have been saying that he is not there, he is there, he is this, that. So everybody was eye focused to see if truly President Paul Biya will come to this stadium or not, and if actually he will perform his duties. That's why you see the focus was somehow on President Paul Biya to see his move. You know, there was a lot of bitterness and rumor about the president himself. So people were focused. That's why you see people could even take pictures from different angles and manipulate it in one angle to say, did we not tell you, did we not? So at the end of the day, the focus on President Paul Biya is based on the fact that there had been a lot of rumors about his health and other issues that we all know. Now he presenting himself to the stadium was a testimonial to those who said he was dead. We had top politicians who said the president was dead, that he's dead. When he came and somebody went and put on social media that how market for, so those who said the president is dead, how market. So at the end of the day, it was a litmus test. And secondly, something went technically wrong that seemingly politicians themselves are not seeing. One of the issues was the review of troops. The moment of the review of troops, I'm sure it was excitement that took the First Lady. But on reviewing of troops, is the president that reviews the troops. But at one point in time, the First Lady could not resist her emotion. She got up. And that is something that somehow, in other contexts, it will be something that will be looked into. Because it is the head of state that has the mandate of the people. Okay,
Senior Barrister. You are appreciating almost everything that happens out there yesterday in the nation's capital. You are a national president of a political party, an opposition political party. How do you reconcile the fact that today you are appreciating the work of your rival? Is this to teach Cameroonians that when it comes to football, there are issues of national interest that we should forget our political leanings and seek the general interest?
Mr. Leo, there should be no politics in football.
Okay.
That is a golden rule that FIFA has always brandished in all the countries. Mm-hmm. Football does not accommodate politics. Coming back to your question, I remember having been one of the few people who have been maintaining on this very platform that the stadia that we have the best stadium in Africa and even in the world. And I think I even mentioned here that Olembe is better than what is that British thing again? What do you call it again?
Stamford Bridge.
No, not Stamford Bridge. Wembley. Yes, I said it here. And people concord that yes, Wembley is no match. You see, so it is not a matter of opinion. You see, a good product does not need advertisement. When it is fine, everybody sees that it's fine. I am not the type of person who criticizes for the pleasure of criticizing. If it is good, you know me well. Whenever my opponents do something that is fine, I say no, this is good. We're talking about health institutions last time. I said no, they have done well in the health sector. They have created regional hospitals, referral hospitals, reference hospitals, and all that. And you see, you don't just criticize for the pleasure of criticizing. When my colleague, Mr. Kamtus, got up to say the head of state was illegal and illegitimate, I said, no, sir. Head of state is an institution. You don't do that. So I am not the person who criticizes for the pleasure of criticizing. If it is good, I tell you it's good. If it is bad, you cannot convince me it's good. I will tell you it's bad and give you the reason why it's bad. So on this matter, I think they have tried.
They have tried.
They've done their real best, and their best is beyond our expectation.
And you're calling on your militants to support the Lions.
Wonderful. They are Cameroon Lions. I say there is no politics in football. They are Cameroon Lions. The Lions belong to all the Cameroonians. You see, there is no politics in football. The Cameroon population should stand firm behind the national team. See, there is no politics.
Okay. There is no politics. Let me take a few messages. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Was that a spiritual lion? Rene is writing from Limbe. No, it was not a spiritual lion. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The stadia are good, but Cameroon lacks maintenance culture. Look at all the good roads Ahijo left. Where are they now? Fully deteriorated. Chris is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Chris. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Good program. No comments about your panelists anyway. It is their democratic right to say what they are saying. Football is life. We have every reason to celebrate. Ngole Hene is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Ngole. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Great program. Thank you very much. Good evening to you too, and to all of you watching the program. The pitches are great, but some persons are still raising the issue of road infrastructure.
You see, Mr. Kum, people will always criticize, and some people now, they take politics as criticism that, okay, fine, you should criticize anything. That's why people will come in. But before I talk about the roads, I would like to talk about those that were criticizing the head of state, President Paul Biya. You see, when you look at the way Madame Chantabia came out from the car and was greeting excitement, it's because her husband is taking care of her. In all the ways, even the other way, it shows that the president is healthy and very strong. And we saw it the way he spoke to Cameroonians. We saw how he was fresh and strong. So all those that are wasting your time saying what you are saying, you will not only see President Paul Biya on 2025 election, you will see him 2032. So you better strategize. Now, to talk about the issue of roads. You see, when you look at roads or transportation, the viewer may have his own opinion about it, but we are seeing our main roads that link regions being developed. I think in the extreme north, a good work is being done there. That of Douala and Yaoundé, we see a good work being done there, even though some people criticize that the budget is too much of whatsoever, but we see the work going on. We see the development of infrastructure in Fako, especially even the Malangfe road, everything has been done. So when people are complaining, I don't get it, the aspect of their complaint. Even at the level of airports, my brother Jarvis named some of them in Bafusa. We did not talk about the one in Bamenda. The Minister of Transport was in Bamenda, and the airport there also was adjusted. So you see that everything is being done, but it's just that we have that aspect of criticizing everything in any way, even when we don't reason. You see a young girl of 14 years who decide to go out, live a regular life, get pregnant, and when they want to talk, they'll say it's Paul Biya. Everything is Paul Biya. So you start to see how people criticize now. But it's just that most Cameroonians don't travel in Africa. If actually Cameroonians travel in Africa, they visit African country, they will know the level of development that we are having in Africa. It is true that most of our brothers, they live from here, they go to Europe, they look at the beautiful life in Europe, and they think that they can change Cameroon and Africa in 2 days to be like Europe. I understand with them. Some left here, they went to Dubai, and the rest, I understand with them. But if you want to compare Cameroon and other African countries, actually we are on a good foot. It's not about politics here, it's not about talking, but I'm talking like someone that have been opportune to move to 1 or 2 African countries. So at the level of road, I don't think it's a problem. The roads are there, they have been adjusted, and the AFCON is there. We even saw the beautiful car that the president of CAF used in Cameroon. Those are the type of car that we use on good roads that we all have. So the head of state has really done a lot, which we should appreciate him and everything. And we still tell our visitors that they are in the country that they should actually have fun in our country. Where it concerns food, we have all type of meal they are enjoying when it comes to dancing. So I really think that they'll enjoy their stay in our country. And as the head of state said, it will be the best in Africa.
Okay.
And to conclude, as Honorable Galajerat called it, notre can sucré. C'est vraiment sucré.
This one says, I'm proud of my country, Cameroon, the first African country to make use of VAR. Football is the only thing that unites enemies. Pilo is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Pilo. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and special greetings to your panelists. What caught my attention was what was Cosmic Uniform doing in field. Was it CPDM rally? Okay, Fred is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, my people over there. We thank God for the good effects on Cameroon to take the opening of the AFCON beautifully. This is the best of Cameroon. I enjoyed the opening for real, but the Cameroon team will still need adjustment. Okay, good evening to you. Please do send the messages. We are going to be reading them out. Good evening to everyone. Please help me ask your journalist, is the Littoral Southwest route a good one? Okay.
I'm not a journalist.
Good. He's not a journalist. Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Great senior barrister for me. I now confirm that he can lead the people. Mbu Zakari is writing from Kumbu. Good evening to you, to Zakari. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Building roads and hospitals and even stadiums with borrowed money for who to pay. Samson is writing from Kumba. Yeah, that is his worry. Good evening to everyone. Prince Ojong, good evening to you. He wants to know. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Tell my CBDM bro that he should not worship Paul Biya. I'm not sure he's worshiping Paul Biya, Robert Malangfe. But now I want us to look at the fact that Cameroon is hosting the maiden edition that comprises 24 teams here.
Yeah. This is the first edition that has 24 teams. And to be more honest with you, there will be some challenges because it's no longer the normal round of 16 teams that we have. But now we have 24 teams. And for these 24 teams to have logistics, accommodation, to plan the fixtures such that it's well played, I think it has a lot to be done. However, Cameroon has beaten the odds, and we have the expectations that CAF had is more than, we have given them more than what they were expecting as far as 24 teams, maintained 24 teams is concerned. The only challenge we had is that some of the African nations, especially those from the North Africa, seems to have a different mentality about the nation, about Cameroon. And that's why you see when a hotel is offered to them, they prefer to have their own staff and all the other logistics, and they prefer to choose their own hotel, which is their constitutional right to show disagreement. However, I want to make them to understand that the hotels that are always allocated, CAF was in Cameroon before, and CAF had series of meetings in Cameroon and visit in Cameroon to look at the level of infrastructure to contain 24 teams. And if we have 24 teams with Cameroon inclusive, taking part in this AFCON, it shows that football is evolving, and not just the evolving, but football is taking a different dimension in terms of the financial aspect, because the money too was also raised, the money was increased, and also in terms of the logistics that we're giving, the logistics too that we're giving was increased. Look at substitution level. The substitution level that we always have the 3 substitution, but this time you have about 4 substitution. 5. They have updated it to 5. substitution, so you can actually substitute 5 players. I'm sure one of the reasons that account for is COVID. They said COVID is one of the reasons, and the other reason is that they have to expand the level of substitution, that players easily get tired, and some players suffer heart attack in the pitches because you have substituted above 3. You have just had your 3 threshold. So because of this, they have to limit the risks involved in it to have 5 substitutions, such that you have at least 5 substitutions. Because a player, maybe you have substituted 3, which is a threshold, and the player is suffering in the field, there's no way you can substitute that player, and which affects your team anyway. So that's why they gave the reason. Now come to the 24 team in itself also. If you look at how Cameroon did the partitioning, some people are stating that we took Senegal and placed them in Bavousan, and took this one and placed in Garoua. It was CAF that did the arrangement, and it was they said Pool A would take place here, Pool B, without even before the draws. So they had their pool taking place in. So the draws now came in because Cameroon finds itself in Yaoundé because they are the host nation. They are the host nation, so they are supposed to be in Pool A by default. The host country is in Pool A. Then the rest of the nation, CAF spread it out based on what they think and based on their policy and procedures. So Cameroon again is not fully in charge of managing the resources for CAN. It's CAF that decides where resources go. That's why you see even media accreditation was limited to CAF, not at the level of MINCOM. And it was difficult for also some home journalists to fully have accreditation based on the fact that CAF had its own principles. So our own plea, our own call is that if a competition like this is going to a particular country, the local media in that country should be given the opportunity to have enough accreditation to sell their culture to the outside world, because nobody can tell our culture better than us who are already in Cameroon. So my appeal is that if there's a way, since the commission just started, where the local organizing committee can tell CAF that, see, we need more accreditation for media personalities, it will be better.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I want to ask this question. I went to a police school in Yaoundé to deposit my papers for the concours because I was unable to speak French. The policeman that was to receive me asked to move back if I can't speak French. Is Cameroon. We all want for this problem to end. Yes, I'm sure that was not good. Yes, those are also some persons that are working against what. Let me take some message, please. Good evening. In the house, the president is healthy and strong, but why is he holding from his people? This is Esther writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Esther. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Please tell Robert to focus on the topic and not praise President Pierre. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The opening ceremony was really a come and see. One thing I'm not happy about is the little or no attention that was given to the president of FECAFOOT, Samuel Etofis. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is Bertrand writing from Yaoundé? I'm just enjoying the program. Thank you, Bertrand. Good evening to you there. I'm really happy with the good work of Cameroon in organizing the AFCON. All thanks to the president of Cameroon, FECAFOOT and CAF. Robert is writing from Mile 2 in Limbe. We're taking a short break to continue thereafter. Okay, if the break is not... Eli, can we take a short break?
Gagner la CAN, ça ne s'explique pas. On peut se raconter des histoires, se prendre pour des pharaons, se sentir fort, invincible même, à tort ou à raison. Panthère, aigle, éléphant, indomptable ou pas, tout le monde vient ici pour sacrer son roi. On pourrait en parler pendant des heures. Mais gagner la CAN, ça ne s'explique pas. Ça se vit.
Only Canal Plus brings you the heart of the African Cup of Nations. Right now, enjoy 15 days of free access offered to all of Canal Plus at your resubscription.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We are moving over to Bafoussam to get the temperature as it looked like last night after the match.
Des centaines de personnes ont pris d'assaut le village de la Canne de Babadjou nommé Kan Keita Mangwa pour vivre en communauté la cérémonie et le match d'ouverture de la Canne Total Énergie Cameroun 2021. Une rencontre qui a connu la présence des autorités traditionnelles, politiques et administratives.
2-1, c'est pas rien, c'est 3 points que nous avons déjà engrangés au match d'ouverture. Mais je voudrais saisir cette occasion pour adresser mes félicitations appuyées à Madame le maire de la commune de Babadjou qui nous a permis de vivre, de célébrer cette grande fête du football autant que les autres Camerounais de tout le triangle national dans le cadre de cette fan zone village de la Canne Babadjou.
Après le petit froid glacial causé par le but des étalons du Burkina Faso, l'émotion a repris de la plus belle manière. Expression d'une joie débordante au terme du match avec la victoire des Lions indomptables du Cameroun.
On est fiers de cette victoire du Cameroun. C'est l'entrée en matière, une bonne entrée en matière. Ça veut dire que le Cameroun montre déjà le ton pour la suite de la compétition. Et nous sommes sûrs qu'avec la victoire d'aujourd'hui, nous irons de victoire en victoire jusqu'au soir du 6 février. Et le Cameroun va soulever ce trophée.
Dans la cadence festive, le maire justifie la création du village de la Canne dans sa localité.
Nous avons donc suivi ce mot d'ordre du chef de l'État en amenant cette canne, la canne du village à Babadjou, pour que chaque Camerounais, chaque Babadjou la vive comme le chef de l'État. Ça veut dire qu'aujourd'hui à Babadjou, nous étions à Olembe, assis à côté du chef de l'État, en train de vivre la belle victoire du Cameroun.
La messe du football n'aura pas connu le même chant d'entrée avec les fanatiques de Mbouda.
Je suis déçu de venir avec ma voiture, je vois rien qui se passe à la Canne, il n'y a personne.
Moi j'ai pensé que, comme les affiches le disaient dans la ville, on devait avoir un écran géant ici au stade Arena.
Malheureusement, je suis déçu. Je suis déçu pourquoi? Parce qu'il n'y a pas l'écran géant.
Selon une source proche du maire, la mauvaise compréhension entre le magistrat municipal et l'initiateur du village de la Canne est à l'origine de ce désagrément vécu par les amoureux du football de Mbouda. Y aura-t-il rattrapage avant les prochaines rencontres? Pour l'heure, la commune de Babadjou est la seule ayant une réalisation pareille dans le département des Bamboutos.
Depuis Babadjou, Alexis Bemo et Flore Kamgakenye pour My Media Prime Télévision.
Of Tiko and the Tiko municipality. This congratulations goes to all of us. Please, can we give a very strong shout to all of us? This is the only official and well-organized fan zone in the whole of Fako division. If you go to Boya, which is one of the official sites that is hosting 2 teams, and you go to Limbe, you will not find this kind of a fan zone. The mayor just made a statement, and I want to continue. This fan zone has come to stay for 1 month and so of this AFCON competition. Please, my strong appeal is that all of us become the security for one another. Please, let us transform our fan zone into a veritable moment of fiesta, of football jamboree and celebration. Your security is guaranteed, but I would want to plead with one thing. Comply with all the security dispositions and directions that will be given to you. You might be invited to open your cars and they check your trunk, or they might use metal detectors on you, or any other exigencies. Please comply. It is for your security, it is for our security, it is for our security. This fan zone has a closing time, and I would beg us that the moment this fan zone is closing, please help us to close. We will not want a situation where we will close and some persons will want to pose a resistance. It will not be proper. It is a moment of celebration. It is a moment of communion as a municipality. Permit me seize this opportunity while inviting you once again to salute this great man who is the mayor of the Tiko municipality for this wonderful gesture. Please, I'm not ready. I want you to give a strong... Only one name. There is only one name. There is only one purpose. There is only one motive. There is only one reason. And that reason is Cameroon for all of us. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
That was Tiko. Thank you, Kuma Honore, for that element. We also want to say thank you to you, Flo, for the great job you are doing out there in the West region, moving to Babaju. That is the border with the Northwest region, and then moving back to Mbuda to also give us a picture of how Mbuda looks like. But we also saw what happened in Tiko yesterday. That's Tiko, to say that even in Tiko, people really are in love with football. There's no way we can politic with it.
Mr. Leo, the entire Cameroon is a football loving nation. I want to revisit what my good friend Mr. Kedia said concerning the roads. Mr. Kedia, you cannot call a rose bitter leaf. The best roads we have here, linking towns, 7 meters wide. Massa. You have built good stadia, we'll clap for you. But if it comes to road network, sir, there is still a lot.
Which one have been neglected? The caller said roads have been neglected.
I'm not talking of any caller. I'm talking of the road network. The roads are not good enough. They are still small roads. If you go to Nigeria, you will swallow all what you were saying here, because the moment you cross the Mfum bridge, what meets your eyes is 3 this way, 3 lanes this way. That's 6. Master, if between Yaoundé and Douala, we can only boast of a few kilometers from Yaoundé.
From Lagos to Abuja by road.
Well,
push a car.
if you have traveled from Lagos to I don't know where, you know that Nigeria has a series of express highways. You cannot compare them to what we have in Cameroon. In fact, the roads we have in Douala here, from the airport to Bonike, you don't have them anywhere linking any town, any 2 towns. So your government has tried to build good stadia, but you will have to face out so that Reform Party comes to build express highways. For now, like this, please don't talk when they talk about roads. Just sit you quiet. Don't talk about it because it is an eyesore. Now, Mr. Leo, there is something else that we have not mentioned here. The Gabonese, I think, Gabonese delegation, because we are here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The Gabonese delegation rejected their hotel. And CAF stood up and asked them, said, why? So, you see, I want to understand why would CAF not allow any delegation to look for a better place?
For themselves.
For themselves. Mm-hmm. Because, you see, when the CAF delegations came to Cameroon to look for hotels, Crystal Hotel was not there. Kaji Hotel wasn't there. There are good hotels that have come up. Now, you look at where Senegal is being launched, in Bangui.
Bangui, beautiful.
Beautiful place. I mean, it looks like paradise on earth. So, I mean, if Senegal did not have that luck to have been given that place, any team that came and discovered a place like a site like that one should be given the option to say, no, we prefer this place. Now, you see, the CAF standard in hotels is 3-star. But there are many 4 stars, 5 stars, which teams could be given the opportunity to choose. Because I heard some people saying we don't have good hotels, which is a fat lie. We have good hotels. We have very good hotels. So I think that is something which should be looked into. The CAF, they should stop frustrating teams, allow them, if they don't agree with the standards that have been given them, let them choose something better for themselves. If they have the money to pay, after if they are paying from their pocket, what's their business there? Allow them to lodge where they want to lodge. So I think that is part of the ugly side that we need to visit. Our hotels, we thank God, the hotels are fine. At least Douala now has 2 5-star hotels. We are waiting for the 3rd one, which is still being constructed. Maybe that one will come into operation during the World Cup.
Okay, good evening, sir. I'm happy with the program. I would like us to thank Apostle John Chi, who prayed and gave a prophecy that the blue jersey will win, and it was so. He went ahead by saying that number 10 will score, and it was so. I wish that the Cameroon government should give him a great gift. Thanks. Marcus is writing from Yaoundé. Okay, I don't know what jerseys you're talking about. Good evening, Mr. Leo. As Mr. Senior Barrister said, we don't need politics, for we all love Cameroon and we want success. God bless you. Peace, Julius, writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Julius. Good evening, Mr. Leo. How long has the Olembe Stadium existed? John is writing from Bessie. Mr. Leo, good evening. Point of correction. This is not the maiden edition of 24 teams AFCON, but the one in Egypt in 2019. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Bravo to Mr. Bia and his entire government. They have made us Cameroonians to be proud. Samuel is writing from Bomenda. Good evening to you, Samuel. Good evening, sir. My name is Lukong Hans from Songlong. I don't know where Songlong is. Good evening, Prime R, and to all the viewers. Mr. Leo AFCON opening ceremony was an interesting surprise, especially in relation to the expectations. I almost felt it's not Cameroon. The cultural display was lovely. I even noticed the reaction from the First Lady and a thumb up to the graphics work of the lion. How I wish this impact will genuinely spread to other areas. Congratulations to the organizing committee. My greetings to Mama Ewane Dione Dorothy in Ikondo Titi, and also to Mom Su Gladys and Daddy Su Dennis in Farm Road Street, Fiango Kumba. To those who underestimated the AFCON like myself, there is still hope. Mr. Ewane is writing from St. Francis. Kumba, we once again are going over to Boya to get the second reaction on this topic of Tiku Felix.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to the entire panel. Mr. Liu, I want to say the opening ceremony of the AFCON 2021 that is being held in Cameroon, it was far above my expectation. Yes, there was really an upgrade with regards to the way Cameroonians usually do their things. I was so satisfied, and the rumor that the social media has been giving us with respect to the Olympic Stadium, the nature of completion and whatever, I didn't see a trace of that. Means they actually did their work. Another thing that actually attracted me was the graphic image of the lion.
Okay, we certainly are going to be coming back to you, Tiku Felix. There is a mix-up somewhere. There we are moving straight to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with why some Cameroonians are not as patriotic as we expect them to be. What could be those factors that are motivating Cameroonians to hate the nation? We are going to be discussing this with our panelists. I'll start with you, Senior Barrister. Generally, from what we have seen, Cameroonians love the nation. They love the lions. Can we say that Cameroonians are not patriotic?
Well, not when it comes to football.
Okay.
When it comes to football, the Cameroonians, they are all under one cap, one thinking cap. In fact, if the enthusiasm displayed during football encounters could be translated into other spheres of life, that would keep Cameroon as a very united country. Unfortunately, it's not the question. It's not the question. Well, like you rightly say, you see, many Cameroonians, they don't seem to be very patriotic. It's very understandable because, well, if you take the side of, look at it from the side of belly politics. There are many who are ready to sell their brothers, for a loaf of bread. You ask, okay, look at these fellows who were asked to go supply things to the building material for the companies that were building. Look at the type of outrageous bills they started sending. You know very well that a trip of sand costs 65 or 70,000. You buy for that much. You buy for about 40. You go supply for 70. When the bill comes out, somebody sits in his office and transforms that 70,000 to 700,000. One trip of sand. And you expect the public treasury to dish that money out to you, that you supplied one trip of sand for the construction of a stadium. 700,000. Because you want to fill your own stomach. You forget that you are killing the nation by so doing. I mean, if you just reason a bit, this is an attempt to dip your hand directly into the bread basket of the nation. You have been given an opportunity to make money by supplying material. Why don't you take your fair share, what corresponds to what you have supplied? And it may interest you to know that the people who are even doing this are not the contractors. Somebody in an office who has to prepare the bills, the bills for the people who have supplied. He takes his pen and says, okay, we have received about 1,000 trips of sand. 70. If I add 1 0 or 2 zeros here, that gives all the balance. The balance between what was actually supplied and what he has presented goes into his pocket, and the pockets of those whose mouths he needs to seal to have his deal done. You see, look, that is a very good example of unpatriotic behavior. People who are ready to kill just to fill their pockets. It's very bad. You see, you take this other example of our brothers who decided to say that to declare the head of state dead, just because they wanted political credibility. They wanted to be seen as the people who should be given the chance to govern the country. They say the man is dead, and even went as far as in writing that the president of assembly should kickstart the process of vacancy. Look at, I mean, that is unpatriotic behavior. Why? Because you want to satisfy your personal ego, your langa throat for the throne. Why don't you wait for your own time? When there is, if he actually dies, then we can now be called up to come and compete and see who will replace him. But Massa, it's as if you are wishing the man dead, a man who is alive. Just imagine, Mr. Leo, you are here. Somebody goes to Equinox and says, Mr. Leo is dead. Mr. Leo is dead. How will you feel? No, these guys are heartless. They are really heartless. And they defend it on television platforms as if it is truth. I want to see their faces after they saw this man in the field yesterday. Let them tell us from which graveyard he came back to come and preside over the football match. This is unpatriotism. I mean, you say you made that type of declaration in front of the whole world that a whole president is dead. They're hiding it when the man is there living. No, I mean, look, this is terrible. I really find it terrible. You see, there are so many instances where you can see how people put forth unpatriotic behavior just to satisfy their own personal desires. And it's really bad, because we should learn to be patriotic. We should learn to be Republican, because if we don't abide by the law, then there will be nothing, no instrument to guarantee peace, to guarantee law and order. Then Mr. Leo, I will throw into your house and just carry your wife and start going away. Nobody will talk to me. That is not correct. You see, we have to respect the established order and know that as the country can only function as a unit, and that unit is made of all the Cameroonians, each and every one of us. We should play our role, and if you are called up to serve, please serve loyally, serve sincerely and faithfully. Don't try to pinch and hide behind, because when you hide behind, you think that you are filling your pocket. But unfortunately, each time you pinch, there's always somebody somewhere who is watching and say, hey, see that man don't thief something. And when the day you are called up, you know the song now, tout le monde kondengi.
Okay, we are going to get the first reaction of Atiku Felix on this second topic.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, a lot of things come into play with regards to the killing of patriotism within the Cameroonians, or with Cameroonians supporting their own. A lot of things. And one of the first things I want to say is the tenseness in the political atmosphere, as well as the power tussle in Cameroon. That is one aspect that's actually killing patriotism in Cameroon. It is obvious that those who are against the ruling CPDM will normally look for avenues to discredit them. It's very obvious. And also, they want any situation that will cause their downfall and make them very, very unpopular. So AFCON, to them, let's take for the CROM, for example, AFCON to them is a weapon to use and discredit their rival CPDM, or who is also the government. All of us know this. So their thoughts throughout AFCON tournaments will be looking for avenues that will cause them to fail and discredit them, rather than being patriotic, that we are all Cameroonian and we should face our problems when the visitors are out. No, with them, it's not like that. You understand? Instead of supporting the national team, of trying to be patriotic, what they do is they are busy looking for ways to cause a disorder. You understand? That will kind of rub the dignity of the government to the mud. And all their die-hard supporters will normally rally behind them.
Okay, Tiku Felix there. Now, what is responsible for this attitude in some Cameroonians, Robert?
Mr. Kum Leonard, there is one viewer that sent a message to express his frustration, which I can't go further without talking about it. Please, the gentleman that went to deposit his document in Yaoundé and faced the problem of him not being bilingual or not being able to speak French, please, I would like you to go to the seat of the Bilingualism Commission in Yaoundé there and post your problem, and I believe that from there someone will be able to take you to follow up your document. It is a sad situation really that some people still face it, even though machineries have been put in place so that such attitude could be wiped out in the country, but some people still face it. So I must touch about it, because even though some of us we are saying that things are better but need to be improved, some of us who 1 or 2 times in our life we've experienced that. So that is the advice I would really like him to do, to go to the headquarters of the Bilingualism Commission and explain his problem there. I believe they will take him there so that he can deposit his document. To answer your question, firstly, the main problem we have, firstly, is greed. The black man's king, the black man has always had greed. We are the one that sold our brother to slave trade, to slavery. We are the very ones that when the white man came, we still sold ourselves to them. Even during native resistance, we still saw us, the black skin, collaborating with the white man to kill our own fellow brothers. And even up to present date with the exposure, you see our brothers, they come from Europe, they come to visit us, and at the end we still poison them or do terrible things. So the problem is the black man's skin. We are suffering from greed. We think that we should have it all and other people should depend on us to succeed, and that is the problem. If there is no greed, then all this will not happen. And I'm not being politically here, but I just want to remind viewers that are watching us, and even those in the government, with a speech of the president, head of state. He said all those that embezzle money will answer to the rigor of the law. That's what he said. And I believe that because I know the president so much, even his close collaborators are in Kondengui. So all those guys that have collected money with the speech of the president, they should start to lobby how they can have a better room in Kondengui, because actually if they are guilty, they'll lock them up. So that's the first aspect, greed. Then the second aspect has to do with politics itself. Politics need money. Politics actually need money. If you look at the campaign in America, you see how this political party, they raise funds, they raise money. But in Cameroon, especially, our politicians are poor. They are poor, very poor. They don't even have the capacity for them to be represented in all the ballot pool in the country. They don't have. Even the second party does not even have up to 3/4 of that capacity that the party should be represented in all polling stations. They don't have. They are poor. That's the second thing. Then the third thing is
that why they are unpatriotic?
No. When we are talking about patriotism here, we are looking at those various aspects. Now, to be able to campaign as a politician, to sell your view, actually, you need to have the finances. And most of the politicians that they go, that they have the support of the people and they are poor, when they do their campaign, they are being bribed, given money, and they betray their people. And they tend now to do the other aspect. That is what I would call being unpatriotic. We've seen politicians that have been supported, people coming in the street, losing life, and at the end 1 or 2 changes happen and things change. So me, I would say those politicians are not patriotic. That's my own way of seeing it. And to go further to talk, I've talked about greed and I've talked about being poor. The next aspect is the issue of I think tribalism in Cameroon. The fact that we have too many tribes in Cameroon has had a little bit delay in patriotism, where people don't think about the nation, they think much more about their tribe, because patriotism is love for your nation, while tribalism is love for your tribe, your village. So that is the problem that we are having now. Most people don't think about the general interests of the country. They start to think about their tribe. Somebody will say, no, I am an Anglophone, this is what I need. Somebody will say, no, I'm from Banso, this is what we need. So this issue of tribalism has actually killed the aspect of patriotism. Then another aspect also which we face here is at the level of education, which I think a lot has been done at that level, where we have citizenship that is being taught in secondary school and civic and ethic that is being taught and is very compulsory at the level of universities. I think that more education to be done on that, to educate the Cameroonian people on being patriotic.
Yeah, almost everybody is accusing the other of not being patriotic, especially the politicians. Are the politicians capitalizing on something to mask their patriotism and accusing others of not being patriotic?
You know, patriotism is an act of doing something that is right and not something that is wrong. And that's just the simplest definition, doing something that you know is right, rightly, and not wrongly. And if I come to your question directly, if you look at the political landscape of Cameroon, is somehow chaotic. And when I say chaotic, it's chaotic in the fact that a certain level of camp believe that for them to succeed, they must run down these people. And these people believe that for them to succeed, they must also run down these people, without looking at the general interest of Cameroonians. And if we look at the general interest, politicians, the reason why we have unpatriotic nature of politicians, because they don't look at the general interest of the nation. They look at the interest of their pocket. And it is because of this interest of their pocket that they hide behind some other issues to want to claim that they are, you know, the messiah of the system, whereas at the end of the day, they still go back and do the same thing they accused Mr. A of doing. Let me give you practical example of where we are lacking in terms of patriotism from a political perspective. Now, if you look at what Senior Barrister said from his beginning, where we started the program, it is actually patriotism. Patriotism simply means that what he saw was good, appreciated it, that is good. And when we came to the aspect of roads, he was clear on it that, see, for stadia, we have good stadia, but for road, we need improvement. And this is the politics that majority opposition parties are not playing. They believe that it is their duty to just run down a system to appear as messiah and looking for cheap political gains and to make others feel that you are the person doing the job, which or indeed you are not. I come to the other aspect. I watched your program, I think, when you had Senior Barrister on the Reform Party. There were some questions you asked him, and he actually was clear on it to say, yes, President Pierre has done this, which is positive. And on this side, he needs improvement. But if you look at the general context now that we have in the nation of other political parties, they feel that if we don't criticize this regime on everything, we will not get the trump card, which is wrong. The general interest of Cameroonian is that we should have peace, social peace. We should have we should live peaceful, coherent with one another, and we should also have balanced development. We should have roads and all these things. Now, in one or two ways, the politicians themselves are not helping because they don't give political education to their militants. If you give political education to your militants, it will help to reduce the level of hatred that we have in the nation. Political education in what context? In the context that we are all aiming for one nation. We're all aiming for one goal. It is not because it's coming from Mr. A that we should not welcome it. It's not because it's coming from Mr. B that we should not welcome it. If you look at the level of patriotic nature we have in Cameroon, majority of the people who went to that stadium yesterday went to say, let us see if he was alive. And finally, he was alive. and now to retract their statement is difficult. And majority of those who were even watching the AFCON on TV, let's see what they will do. We said they have embezzled the Olympic Stadium. They were shocked. Now, in this context, who now is defeated? Those who have trumpeted that Olympic Stadium is not ready, Cameroon is not ready for CAN, they ran and red. We now categorize them as unpatriotic. Patriotism, to all sense of life as Cameroonians, we should understand that we have our difficulties, we have our differences. There is no nation without difficulties. There is no nation without having their differences. But when it comes to the aspect of putting the nation first, we should keep aside our political agenda and welcome it. He said most politicians are poor, opposition are poor. No, I don't believe they are poor. I just believe that it's a matter of strategy. If you have a good strategy, you can do it. You must not have money to have a representative on all the police stations. You can come with senior barrister and you work with him wherever he covers, and you go to a party A, wherever this party covers, you form a coalition. A coalition can give you a representation in everywhere without you necessarily spending enough money. Above all, Mr. Kum, majority of us have limited patriotism to be what the government must do, not what we as Cameroonians must do. I was coming back from Boya on Saturday evening. I had an argument with somebody because someone who speaks only French got into the vehicle in my 17 and he said bonsoir. And a young man behind that car got angry that this is Boya. Why must you greet us in bonsoir? I said, but Cameroon says we are bilingual. Either you speak either French or English. And if he greets you bonsoir, if you cannot answer, just stay you quiet. That is unpatriotism. And we don't look at that, we blame Pobia, we blame the government. As a businessman, how patriotic are you to your customers? As a teacher, how patriotic are you to your students? Meaning that are you giving them exactly what you're supposed to give them? As a lawyer, how patriotic are you to your client? Do you give them good counsel or you just want to reap money away from them? As a journalist, how patriotic are you in terms of your news accuracy, credibility? As a doctor, how patriotic are you in terms of treating your patient? If we Cameroonians we have 70% of patriotism in our individual walks of life, the political side will just fit. But the fact that we are not patriotic in our own self, we look at the government that must be patriotic or politicians that must be patriotic, we are failing ourselves, we are failing.
Senior Barrister, he raised the issue of political education. Is that not also where we are failing? Where people think that patriotism is the affair of others and not themselves. We fail to look at ourselves on the mirror to examine whether we were doing a service or not to the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Well, patriotism, I would like to look at it as love for fatherland. My good friend there said politicians were poor. I want to remind him that he has to draw a line between politicians and political parties. Okay. You see, don't make a mistake between politicians and political parties. Political parties may be poor, but for you to say politicians are poor, Massa, it's a very big and erroneous sweeping statement because you are not in people's pockets. You are not in people's pockets to know whether they are rich or poor. Say politicians are poor. Mr. Pobia is a politician. Is he poor? Kamto is a politician. Is he poor? Ashu is a politician. Is he poor? No, please. Don't say those type of things. Political parties may be poor because their fortune is not the fortune of their leaders. A political party may not have the means to put candidates in all polling stations. That is a different thing from the politicians in that party being poor. So I think you are mistaken there, sir. Now let me come back to your question. You see, I think that there is this question of honesty. When a politician comes and says to the people who are in Bamenda, I'm going to bring you, vote for me, I am going to bring the sea to Bamenda. I mean, you know it is impossible for you to bring the sea to Bamenda. But you know that the people of Bamenda want some big water that can give them the possibility of having fish and leisure and all this water leisure and all that, those things, water sports and all that. You say you are going to bring the sea to Bamenda. Well, you can convince some people to support you. Then you know it very well that it is impossible for you to bring the sea to Bamenda, because how much excavation are you going to do to carry the Atlantic Ocean right to Bamenda? You see, that's a very good example of dishonesty. You see, you know what the people want, but you give them what you know is not possible, because you just want them to give you the support. Unfortunately, we see all this during most of the political campaigns that we have in the country, where people, especially of some party that we know, they will come and promise heaven and earth. Vote for us. Just give us one more term. We are going to do this. The moment the elections are over, they are gone. You don't see or hear of them anymore till the next 5 years. So, you see, honesty. That is a real problem we are facing here, because many politicians are not honest to themselves. I thank Mr. Tama Jarvis, because, you see, when you take the Reform Party manifesto, you see that it is based on honesty. We say, look, don't promise what you cannot give. Don't promise what you cannot supply. If you know you cannot do it, don't promise it, because people are going to hold you down on your promises. And you see, today, many people are saying that the CPDM regime has failed. It has failed because of the big promises that they make, and they cannot fulfill them. Mr. Kedia, can you tell us where the Limbe Deep Seaport is? You don't like to look at my face again. Those are your promises. You see? Promise what you can give. Don't make people dream. Then when the time comes now, where is this thing? It is not there. You see? So, honesty. Oh, Babaju. Why are you going to ride the ring road? Babaju. The Babaju road now. Babaju Bamenda. So short, but where is the road?
Okay. Let's take the second intervention of Tiku Felix on this subject.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Liu. Like I was saying, another thing that will cause Cameroonians to be so unpatriotic with the national team is poverty. Yes, poverty. Mr. Liu, people now want to know the benefits or the gains they get in any activity or anything that they are involved with. You see, this is supposed to be a period when Cameroonians will be enjoying some certain things as benefits, just to attract their attention, just to make them or blindfold them to support the national team and the nation in disguise. You hear them, you ask somebody, are you not going to watch the football match Cameroon is playing today? You hear the person making statements like, na football I go chop. Not be that guys that they work their money. Me too, I go work my own money. Just because of this aspect of poverty. People are struggling to make ends meet now, not going to watch a football match. In the time past, Mr. Liu, it was very difficult to see a Cameroonian who be complaining about difficulty in having 1 square meal a day. It was very difficult. But now it is so rampant. Everybody is complaining. Everybody is complaining. And Mr. Liu, coupled to this, anger with the leadership, anger with the government is another thing that will cause people not to be patriotic with the national team or with supporting the nation. Just at the moment when AFCON is about kicking off, Mr. Leo, I think this is supposed to be a period when the government would have been wise to do 1 or 2 things. You understand? Which will act as support boost.
Okay, thank you, Tiku Felix from Boya there. Senior Barrister, what do we do to get Cameroonians the more patriotic, to love their nation and be able to take good care of whatever resource that is put at their disposal for the good of Cameroon?
Moral upbringing. People have to be morally upright. You see, Mr. Kedia talked about tribalism. You see, the love for your tribe should be replaced by love for the nation.
Okay.
People have to know that taking what belongs to everybody is wrong. And you should take pride in serving the nation. If you take for your own pockets what is meant for everybody, then you are depriving many people of some amenity which society had decided for him. Now, when a project is designed for the Mukundange population to have water and somebody embezzles that money, the harm he is doing to the Mukundange population is not calculable, because that population will not have water, the drinking water that the nation had designed, designed that they were going to have. So each time somebody takes something which is meant to serve the general interest, that person is creating great harm. So what should be done is to increase the public's awareness to this moral rectitude. People should learn to respect public property. Learn to serve disinterestedly. You want to do something for the public, don't look into that what you are called upon to do as something that is supposed to make you enrich yourself. Or you have been appointed somewhere. You are Director General. You say, okay, this Bamenda man has come, he is qualified to be a technician here. I have this my village boy who has a GC A level, let me put him there. Now, that is unpatriotic, because you are using tribalism to deprive a deserving citizen of a job which he ought to have taken. Now you are using that same tribalism to take an unqualified person and put in a place where he is not supposed to be. And what is going to be the consequence? The consequence is that this undeserving person is going to render us disservice, because he is incompetent, and that incompetence is going to bring down the works of the place that you have been appointed to direct. See, so it's nice for people to be morally upright.
Okay, we should be morally upright. And Kedia, Malangfe, what needs to be done? We need to also be more patriotic. We have to keep tribalism, nepotism, and a host of others. The love for nation should be prime.
Yes, it is a two-way side, which those that are governing and those that have been governed need to put enough effort at their own level. Because when we talk about patriotism, the education must be improved, which I earlier said at the level of secondary and higher education it is there, but a lot is supposed to be done. And those that are governing too are supposed to move closer to their people and make them feel that they are there for their interests. So I think those in government should be able to put a lot of effort to provide these basic amenities, because there are some young people that will say, when these senior people were in the universities, these are the advantages they had, these are the support they had from the state, and us now we don't have these advantages. It makes some people to decide to use the wrong way, thereby losing their love for their nation, thereby losing that patriotism. Because when you see a young man maybe that have lost all hope, and you come and preach to that very young man about loving his nation, there are two different things here. It's very complicated for a hungry person to love the nation. So we should be honest when we are saying this. When you are hungry, you go to any mile to be able to feed your stomach. So I think the the level of poverty should be reduced by improving the standard of life and good health of the people after education. And finally, to conclude it, it should also be at the level of our homes. It should start from the level of homes. We've seen brothers kill their brothers because of properties. We've seen brothers killing their mothers. We've seen hate in family, which I think that at the level of that micro level in the home, we need to teach our children. We need to teach our children love. We need to teach our children at that level of how to live together as family. Then I think if we succeed there, then we'll definitely succeed at the macro level, which is the state.
Okay. You also think we need to do more of education?
Yes, the education should not just be limited to people understanding that patriotism is limited only to government officials. No. And the truth of the matter here is that, excuse me, we are all the foundation, the people are the foundation, and so we all have a stake in governance in this nation. And if we have a stake in governance, we must do things at individual level rightly and leave the rest for those policy makers to do it. And secondly, the state who has a role to play. Remember that if laws are not effectively respected, it is a push factor for people to become unpatriotic. It breeds bitterness and anger. And we want to say that if laws are established, nobody is supposed to be above the law and nobody is supposed to be below the law. Policies and procedures should be respected. And if these policies and procedures are not respected, it generates anger and unpatriotic nature for others to follow. And we've experienced this in a lot of circumstances where people are just being angry because either they were arrested arbitrarily or something happened or some other person did something and he was not arrested, and some other person did similar thing, was arrested, and it creates divide and all those things. So my appeal is that if we have laws that are established, they should be respected and the policies and procedures should be followed. Another aspect now comes to the level of political education. The different political parties and civil society organizations, they have a great role to play in terms of educating the masses as of what is required of them, and also educating policymakers as of what is required of them in terms of establishing a good relationship between them and the people and the government. So in all of this, if we can do this, I'm sure that we can a bit reduce the level of unpatriotic nature. Above all, we also have a stake in this. The stake that we have is that government also should create favorable environment to create jobs for the young men and women. And because, as Kedia said, a hungry man, you cannot come and preach patriotism in to someone who is hungry. So if the state can provide adequate opportunity for those who are, young men and women, it will also be a booster. Above all, the private sector economy too should be encouraged, because if this private economy is encouraged, it will help to kill a lot of people who are unpatriotic. Remember that the CDC used to be the second largest employer after the state. Now the CDC is creeping and crawling, and a lot of people are out of their jobs. And where are these people? They are either in somewhere grumbling or doing other things. But if they were busy, if they were working, it will help to reduce the level in which they will indulge in unpatriotic nature. By so doing, if the state can pump in money in sectors like the CDC and other parastatals that used to employ others, I think it will create a lot. Also, Mr. Kum, there's something that we too need to call on the people, that the opposition party, they need to do. Opposition party should understand that building a nation, it is not by running down Mr. A or Mr. B, but it's all about giving a competitive edge advantage. Competitive edge advantage, as Senior Barrister said, is promise what you can do and not what you cannot do. If you can do this, promise it. Don't give the people high hopes, because when you give somebody high hopes, at the end of the day, don't deliver, that person will become unpatriotic. It's like somebody who is used to living in coal, and you come and tell that person that don't bother, I'll provide you good pullovers, I'll provide you a house. By default, that person mentality changes, and the person is expecting that. And if you don't give that person dies. So if the person is already used to with the coal, don't promise that person that will give you this. So if we can promise what we can give, we give. If we cannot give, we tell that, see, we cannot give.
Happy New Year, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists. Tribalism and favoritism are some of the main reasons that are killing patriotism. Selfishness and the lack of the focus to produce results in any project within a timeline is another one. Kudos, Mr. Tazi, watching from Boya. Thank you, and good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I wish to remind Cameroonians that you can plant a seed on a land you hate. We have differences, but let us love our motherland. Nobody applied to where he is. Even your family, you didn't apply to be born in that family. We should learn to separate the government from motherland. Thanks. I don't know how possible that can be, but let's try. Alexis writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thanks for the good program. I really appreciate Senior Barrister for his personality. Please tell the other persons to learn from Senior Barrister. Etel is writing from Kompina. Good evening, Mr. Liu. What attracted me most is the appliance of the opening game. Is Siri writing from Bomenda? Good evening, sir. Everything was perfect, but they taken our artist. We should promote our artist. Okay, talking about the performance of Fali Ipupa. Good evening, Mr. Liu and everyone in the panel. I really love your program, even if I don't comment. But please, let the brother that Judith is writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. Cameroonians only get to see the president only when there is an event like this. He should also be there and address his people in times of trouble. People are dying every day, so he should be able to address Cameroonians when the need arises. Charles is writing from Bonamusade, not far from where we are broadcasting from. Good evening to you, Charles, writing from Bonamusade. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Please, at times when people go off topic, you cut them off. People should not just talk because they want to talk. Please try to know the people who are talking, because this country is going off because we allow people to talk. Weifu is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone. I'm Georges from Boya, talking about patriotism when the government imposed mobile task without table it in the parliament. Is that government patriotic, or as a cup of salt changes from 3 cups 100 to 1 cup 100? Okay, I'm sure that law was voted in parliament. I'm sure you're talking about it. This mobile transfer tax, it was voted in parliament. Good evening to you all in the panel. What is killing patriotism in some Cameroonians is fake promises from the ruling party on even distribution of the national cake, triple tax on major income, Momo tax, anything that the state shall cause the population to be at war with their thoughts. If laws are applied correctly, the level of patriotism shall rise. Agbo Eno is writing from Limbe. We are going to be ending at this juncture. Thank you all for coming, Senior Barrister. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Kum. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to air our views. Thank you, Mr. Tabi Tambe Brian, for this big gift that you have given to the Cameroonian people.
Okay. Thank you too for coming, Robert.
All thanks to the head of state. Then thanks to you for inviting me, and greetings to all foreigners that are in Cameroon to watch the AFCON.
But we should thank God for our lives now.
No, God is paramount. I don't know, you didn't ask Senior Barrister Ashu that we should thank God too, because he didn't say thank God. So since I said thanks to the head of the you're telling me that you have said thank God. No, God is there for everybody.
Well, you have been thanking the President of the Republic since we started the program.
No, it's just that I'm very happy with the AFCON, so that's it. He has done a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kum. A special good evening to the peace-loving people of Way Village, and also those somewhere, and those watching us. Want to say that it's not easy, but however, we as a people must come together and appreciate what we can appreciate.
We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Thank you to the production team. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.